Good morning, everyone. All right, so dip yesterday got bought down there, that major support, and the 50 on the futures there. So I guess now, as the slide said, it's seller's turn to see if they can knock it back down. Will it continue to be bought? Well, let me get my magic dice out and throw them against the wall, see what I can come up with. I think that, look, momentum is slow, and all we know is what we know. Right? So when we look at different charts, what we see, and if we start here, apply the factory work, strong momentum, sideways bullish price action, decent momentum, right? Deep retracement, held support. Right? Momentum picks up, and over here, momentum slowed down dramatically after a breakout failure. So is it reasonable to think that the market is losing its upward momentum? And are we in for some sideways chop at a minimum? So it is building a trading range. So as we looked at the semiconductors and the cues and the software, we see this topping pattern. So distribution, yet it hasn't violated a significant support level. The software index did, or ETF did, but others have not. So we're waiting. I mean, everybody's waiting to see, are we really going to get the interest rate cut? So it's basically accepted as a given. It's going to be a quarter of a point. Some speculate a half. And there are still those that say nothing. They're in the minority. Maybe they'll be right. I guess we're just going to see what happens. And so everybody's waiting for that jobs report and other reports to see what kind of economic information would support that rate cut to increase that confidence. Now, rate cut comes, that's liquidity. Has it already been built in? I don't know. Bar by bar. Now we apply. So obviously, this is a futures contract. It trades overnight. You don't see the gap. And as we look at other ETFs, and we'll see it overnight, prices have coming up to resistance areas. And you can see on the 60-minute chart, this is coming up where sellers are going to be. And so it's an area somewhere in here, somewhere in there. There's going to be sellers, just black and white. And so we'll see as it comes up here. This is moving up. See that momentum? So momentum slowed down. So this is trending up into that resistance area. And so now we look for some type of pattern where this starts to break out failures, begins to roll over, some kind of bearish pattern in this area. And then we'll see if, this continues to deteriorate up here. Right now, buy the dip, see how far it gets. If it breaks down here, it opens up the door to lower. But I suspect it's going to bounce around in between here until, the end of the week where we get that news. So now we just, we look at one market and we create a bias. Then we start looking at other markets and see, do we get something more definitive? And so there's, I drew this out yesterday, and there's, the neckline, and buyers stepped in, came down. It was around midday, and it rallied up to resistance, and it's into that same resistance area as we look there. So a little bit of a extra strength, right, as to the depth of retracement versus the ES, but we'd expect a stall. Maybe it can get a little bit higher. So remember, we look at this, it's an area. So sometimes it punctures above it and then flips back down. But with a pattern like this and news coming out, my bias would be that it's probably going to bounce around somewhere in here. Maybe it bumps its head on the 20 and, bounce around. All right. So Alex is in the camp of no change. So, hey, you know what they say about opinions? Everybody's got one. You're going to put your money on that opinion if you could. Certain things you can and you can't. And someone takes a bet, some kind of a bet, I bet they're going to cut this, that. They probably, those websites that do that, they probably have those things, right? And who's going to win an election or whatever. Well, let's continue. So the Dow, factory work, wide range bar. It was staying in the upper half. So yesterday dipped down and it came back up again. This one is weaker. It's in an uptrend. And I suspect we're going to have more chop until the news comes. The Russell is in an uptrend, a little breakout failure, the same story here. Here's your minor support. It held this area, this little poke bar, whatever you want to call it. It's not a pivot, but poke down below there. So intraday, there's some support. It's hold inside day. Nothing much going on here so far this morning. All happened at the end of the day yesterday and overnight. Well, Bitcoin had a nice reversal yesterday. So that flipped up with everything else, but this has broken its uptrend. And so this has gotten quite sloppy. And gold continues higher after that wide range bar, right? So that's usually an ending bar and momentum to slow. New highs, I'm going to bet against it. Right, silver looks great. It's underperformed. It finally caught up. This is classic type of a pattern there where it takes out the pivots and chops around there in the bottoming tail bar. And that's one to put in your printout or capture, put it somewhere as that's a go-to pattern, right? Especially, the base, the distance from that pivot. All right. Let's look at the gaps. So you can see this is where they're at right now, filling the gap into some resistance. I suspect they won't get too much higher, but they do have what we call a void area here. So you can mark that off on your chart and just put the next, and that's overnight. This is an overnight area, but the grayer. So let's see what it does over here. I think that's probably a bad tick. I don't think that really went down there, but so far just chopping around at resistance. Diamonds unable to move up there, but light trading, sloppy, not much to do there. IWM not getting up to that resistance area, and actually maybe down a titch, so underperforming the Russell there. But again, uptrend. Not expecting too much here based on these patterns. No big movements. You have the spiders, up there into the gap fill. This resistance area, maybe they get a little bit more. So look, coming back down to yesterday's high, it's up here. Yesterday's high should be some support. My expectation is unless there's some news coming, which I haven't even looked at today. Country, say 10 o'clock, there's JOLTS, job openings. at 10 o'clock in factory orders and Jolt's job quits. So 10 o'clock, maybe we get some gyration. Things are pretty quiet at the moment. Okay. SPX, we got to take a look. So we know it's up in this area. Now 6,400 should become support on any dip down there. See if it does. And, in this area, we see where the cursor is. Can it hold that area there on any dip? Those are yesterday's numbers. So that should be a good number. Well, considering where prices are at, again, should be sellers there. So there is some selling, getting below 6,400 and then being in the area of yesterday's low. And 10 o'clock number, disclaimer. This moves down a bit. Anything down near yesterday's low should be safe. Should be. Mm. Hmm. Okay, that didn't go up as much as the bottom came down. I suppose that makes sense. All right. Internals aren't telling us anything. So no advantages there. Uh, Yesterday, a bit you know, this came out of the gate right from the beginning, so that continues to look good. And yeah, have an alert down below here. Right, where is it? Opening and filling the gap. So, yesterday turning around at areas of major support was basically what happened. Just a technical bounce down there. And now we'll see how much sellers can take control and where we go from there. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. As soon as I woke up today, saw the gap, just the amount. So I turned on CNBC and I saw the gap up, and I'm like, trading range. I just knew we are gapping to resistance. Yeah, I'm not expecting much here, but I'm not a fundamentalist. I mean, what's the value of Google of winning that lawsuit? Who the heck knows? But you got willing buyer and willing seller right now at 226. This has been, what we traded it here. What an amazing no-brainer breakout right there. That bar, we bought it. Uh, forget where we sold it, but the question is, what do we do with it now? Yeah, one second, row. My bias is short-term top. Well, it's just a bias. I'll tell you more in 30 or 60 minutes, but I'm favoring a call spread, and the premiums will be jacked And Apple is a big beneficiary of this news. Now that's an igniting gap. It's making this M top a failure. So that's a buy on a pullback. Weekly has room to 245. So I'm bullish on Apple. Call spread on that. Now I notice the diamonds are red here. So even with Apple up $7, what is dragging in here? Actually, no, there's no standouts really. Microsoft down a buck and change. Verizon down 2, but there's no big ugly one. So that's this looks like an Apple and Google party right now, not the broader market. IWM's down, diamonds are down. So we'll just take it as we do every day. Raul is asking about UEC. Yeah, it's sloppy, but it's like a failed M top in an uptrend, which is not unusual. Had a little breakout failure, but yesterday's bar was a good close, gapping up a little bit. That's bullish. EHC. It's bullish. It's a little bull rectangle. I prefer to go sideways more after this big run, particularly since the markets are either weak or gapping resistance. I'm going to be very selective on new longs here. That's a bullish continuation pattern. Has room, so I like that one the best actually. That's relative strength to semis. So yeah, I like Teradyne there. Or Tawi, DLSD and a pullback. Sure. Yeah, I like it. Has room to $9-10. Yeah, not on the list. This stuff that we were watching yesterday, soon finally made the turn. I got impatient with it, and I actually canceled it, giving it to subscribers. It was in the weekend letter, and but I said in the green room, it's totally on my long list on a pullback here. I was hoping to get a intraday buy set up, 13-10-ish. And now it's up a little bit more with the cues, I guess. I'm not going to chase it. All right, alarms. SLV. We're long this. Let me just set new alarms. Eating. ABBA. Alex mentioned yesterday, my low alarm went off on this one pre-market spike. But notice also it's a bearish daily, bearish weekly, bearish pre-market, and relative weakness pre-market. So this is a fantastic short idea. I already checked call spreads and there's no premium, but it's a go-to short on our list today. That looks good. The XCM. My up alarm went off. We have a call spread on this, but with a break-even stop already. Let me just reset the alarm. 75-20. And those are all my alarms. So not much. And I don't have a big watch list here. Let's go to earnings. There's not many. HQY. This one I had no bias yesterday. It's downtrend daily, weekly, but it's a pattern that could gap up or down. That's now gapping to 92. So 30-minute high, put spread. Zulu Sierra, I had no bias either. Gapping up a little bit, but no pattern. A Dollar Tree, 103-ish. It's bearish. Bearish gap. Maybe check his cousins. Maybe this is going to drag some of them down. Campbell Soup. I actually had a bearish bias if it opened flattish. But now it's a bullish gap, but it's still in a junky trading range. I got zero interest in that. Macy's. I did a put spread yesterday, 12 and a half, 11 and a half. And it was a beautiful, and I said if it opened flat, we would buy it today as a directional. But the big gap up's messing it up. Well, what I'll do is, I'm sure I can get out of my 12 and a halves for a penny. So what I'll do is my trick of, I just look at the option quote and the highest strike that I can buy for a penny is what I'll do. And then that locks in my gains and gives me a free put spread. To Sony, no pattern, but it exploded the other day. Rev G, 60. Wow, that's a big gap on Rev G. But now it's excessive. So it's a bullish gap of excessive, so I got no bias on that. Let's see what else I got here on my watch list. Oh, Jill had earnings also. That's a nasty gap. Jill Inc. SFL. It's on Sam's list. Sell setup. I got to learn at $8. Perks. Sam, was this your list? Where did I get this? Oh no, it's in the news. It's been added to the S&P 500. But it's a bullish pattern with the gaps messing it up. KHC got clobbered yesterday when they're calling off their buyout. Got an upgrade. It's actually a nice day trading pattern. With that void stabilization, it's gapping up. It's above the 20. So 5-10 minute high, that could go to $27 for a day trade. A lazy boy. We're short this. I can't tell where it's gapping pre-market, but it still looks good. You can add yesterday's low. Actually, let me set alarms on that. $35.85. And an up alarm at 36.20. All right, I have that. LCFY is a bullish gap. Looks like a junk stock, maybe a pump and dumper, but let's see if it can settle down. SMR is a beautiful turn on the daily weekly. No, it's not a gap and crap. So look, here was a Climo. Here's a retest, making a higher low. You got a buy set up on the weekly. So, hey, can anybody just type out a couple of his cousins? I forget what they are. But maybe we'll find, because it's gapping up here to 39 chance, gapping up $2. But I like that. Let's watch a put spread, a long on a pullback, and also the cousins. Dollar Tree. No, it's not a gap. A gap and crap, Patrick, means it's gapping up, and it's an exhaustion gap. This is or do you mean gap and snap? Thinking it's a big gap and it's going to snap back? But typically those are after fluid down moves, and it's an exhaustion down move. And I have I have zero information to know whether or not that's going to be a short-term exhaustion or not. DG. That could be a 30-minute low call spread. Yeah, that's being drugged down by him. Yeah. Bali NNE 3360. There's no pattern, no void. Look, the daily, weekly on SMR are superior. Superior. So here, let's do the A/B test. A/B test means when you go to the doctor and he says, do you like A better or B better? Which one looks better? So you got NNE weekly, SMR, day and night difference. This one's fluid, made the turn, rising 20, whereas the other one is a bearish breakdown. CALC I like. I'm actually bidding for this pre-market. I didn't get filled. But this is an inverse head and shoulder. So I like this. I see Alex. Alex mentioning Paul, this inverse head and shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, void. Breakout weekly, buy setup. Paul, 105. Yeah, I like the weekly. So yeah, yesterday would have been a better entry, but I like them. Put on the list. Tesla. Tesla I like as a put spread on a pullback. I was hoping it would pull back a little bit, $2-3 maybe. And then that's a buy setup, deep retracement, but put spread yesterday's low. We talked about these already, so now we got less than a minute. We read it. Yeah, there's a good gapper from a buy setup. Yeah, that's a beautiful gapper. And I'm going to get rid of this LCFY. Yeah, so yeah, that looks like 240 is in the cards. So I put that in a window. That's great. We can do a put spread and but I don't do anything at the open. We just have tier one watches. And I'm watching two of these EV stocks, XPEVs, continuing weak. So that one's more questionable. But look at NIO, I like. That's a bull rectangle. Oh, excuse me, bull rectangle. Like driven was an igniting breakout, daily, weekly, monthly. We need a pullback on driven. Lift up alarm. We bought, oh, nice lift. We bought this a half like yesterday. Daily, weekly, monthly, I like. I bought calls on them. So this, I'm sure the spreads are going to be crazy. So what you do when you have crazy spreads is you calculate the intrinsic value, which is $1.46, and then you add the estimated amount of the extrinsic value, which in this case is 20. So I'm going to put an order out for 180. Does that make sense, y'all? And now it's rallying a little more. So I'm going to try 185. Tell you if I get filled. I should. It's now $1. Yeah, I'm filled. See, I'm filled. But did you all follow, you option traders, how I did that? So that's giving you 10 cent extrinsic, but it should be more actually. So let's try to sell some for near $2. Yeah, you should get out. It's now, yeah, you should get filled at $2 now. So we paid 60 cents for that, you all. So selling them for $2 is an amazing overnight return. All right, what else am I looking at here? All right, Reddit, I got in the middle chart. So I like when they're not too extended, but let me check. Let me check put spread first. Should be with 215s. It's spready, but there's nice juice. 1028. We can actually, I'm gonna try to sell the they're spready 212.50 naked. I'm gonna try to sell for $1.20, which is a nickel under low offer. Still, okay, so I'm in Reddit naked puts myself. I'll wait for a directional. My 30-minute high would be ideal. Jets up alarm. We're a nice recovery on Jets. This is my ETF letter. So nice. That's a continuation breakout pattern. So just set new alarms. AAL. I actually like Jets better, Alex. A/B test Jets is better. This was a crazy bar. I mean, it looks higher, but I'm sure we can. Well, AFK is still on a tear. We had a nice put spread on that. UAL, all the usual suspects. UAL not bad. Maybe a closing breakout right here. All right, lift is coming in. Other markets holding well. The spread on Lazy Boy. 52-cent spread on Lazy Boy? Are you crazy? I'm gonna go high bid for something to cover. Kava. Oh, there goes Reddit. Shoot. Man, what's going on with Reddit? That's $5 bar. 6, 7.
I'm in it.
Well, why didn't you give the subscribers?
I
I was
gave it to you this morning.
I can't do everything. Said I liked it. I'm in naked puts. I said I was watching it for subscribers, but I'm watching 20 things and
Was the best looking thing.
I know, but it just exploded right there. $6. Well, I should have just said, it's only 9:36. I was waiting a few minutes. But I'm in it too. I told everyone what I was doing. All right. Google, remember I mentioned a possible call spread, but no, there's no pattern yet. Apple's actually coming in more, but that's a buy on a pullback. CNC up alarm still looks good. I just don't know what the target is. Tesla, I wanted to come in a controlled manner. It's coming in hard. Yeah, but Trent, I don't do those. When you have a bullish gap, you do not want it to come in hard like that. So you want them to come in and give you a very nice controlled buy setup. So, and yeah, that's good. Weekly, monthly have room. So I like it. That soon is coming in. Let's see if we can work an entry on that. I would sell $13 puts on AAL. No, I won't. They're only 3 pennies. He's coming in here. Oh, that's his trading range. So, just like I was looking at the Tesla, let's see how this retraces and where it reverses. I think it looks great. 45, Bolly. Looks great. I guess, for a new trade, like there's no good place for a stop. But daily, weekly look great. I was bouncing, so now I'll set an alarm at 65.40. But remember, Alex, I said on patterns like this, we gotta be careful not to get caught in a breakdown failure. And that's exactly what it just did here, on a small scale.